There are warriors who lived and died forgotten, their names swallowed by history. And then there are figures whose presence shaped generations, not through force, but through the philosophy of living. Among those, one name stands alone: Miyamoto Musashi. A man born into violence, formed by conflict, and refined by an unstoppable inner discipline that made him unbreakable. Musashi was not destined for greatness. He was destined for survival. His childhood was not filled with soft lessons or warmth. His father, Shinman Munisai, was a master of the sword, known for both skill and cruelty. He believed the world rewarded ferocity, not kindness, and he forged his son in that belief. At 6 years old, Musashi held a wooden sword heavier than his arms could manage. He trained until his skin bled, and when he collapsed, his father told him, "A warrior does not stop when his body fails. He stops when the world is silent." There are many ways to shape a child: tenderness, encouragement, compassion. Musashi was shaped by fear, pressure, and force. Yet beneath the brutality, something rare formed: a growing hunger to understand where true strength comes from. Years later, he would write, "The mind is the weapon, the sword is merely a tool." At 13, he fought his first duel. His opponent was a grown samurai, confident and sure. Musashi had no armor, no refined technique, and barely any experience. But he had aggression that defied reason, wild, raw, and unrestrained. When the duel ended, the samurai lay dead, his skull smashed by Musashi's wooden blade. It was not brilliance, it was not mastery, it was the violent collision of instinct and desperation. The village whispered of the boy with the demon's eyes, not because he was strong, but because he was terrifying. Musashi did not celebrate. He vomited, shaking, realizing death was not a story, but a reality he could create. Yet despite the horror, a part of him understood: power could be seized if one was willing to go further than others. With the stain of death, Musashi left home, not in triumph, but exile. He wandered, hungry, barefoot, unwashed, a nameless boy with nothing but a sword and a future shaped by conflict. He slept in forests, ate roots and scraps, and lived among bandits and monks. He learned that life was not noble, it was struggle. In every village, he challenged warriors, watching how they moved, breathed, and hesitated. He was not seeking victory, he was seeking information. And with every fight, he understood that technique alone was meaningless. Anyone could learn form, not everyone could remain calm under pressure. Musashi learned early. The difference between life and death was not the strength of the arm, but the stability of the mind. During his travels, he encountered monks who practiced Zen. They meditated in silence, their bodies motionless, as though they had dissolved into the earth. Musashi asked, "Why do you sit when the world is dangerous?" The monk answered, "Because danger is inside, not outside." Those words stayed with him. He challenged soldiers, ronin, even bandits. He was beaten, cut, bruised, but never broken. What impressed him was not winning, but adapting. "If you can learn in chaos," he said, "peace will serve you little." At 19, Musashi traveled to Kyoto, where the Yoshioka school controlled the world of swordsmanship. They were refined, disciplined, and respected. Musashi walked into their hall and issued a challenge. The first master he faced fell quickly, not because Musashi was elegant, but because he was unpredictable. His movements were ugly, violent, awkward, and impossible to read. He did not fight with the rhythm of a trained swordsman. He fought like a storm. The Yoshioka clan, embarrassed, sent another. Musashi defeated him. They sent a third, a master of masters. Musashi killed him too. Humiliation turned to hatred. They ambushed him in a field, dozens against one. Musashi moved through them like water through broken reeds. They attacked with anger. He acted with clarity. The fight ended in blood and disbelief. After the battle, Musashi realized something profound. Victory had no taste, only survival did. He wandered again, restless, not for opponents, but for meaning. One night, as he sat by a fire, an old warrior approached him. His beard white, his back bent, his eyes tired yet sharp. He asked Musashi, "Why do you fight?" Musashi answered, "To master the sword." The old man smiled. "Then you will never master anything." Confused, Musashi asked, "Why?" "Because mastery is not found in the object. It is found in the one who observes it." The old warrior stood to leave, but said one final thing. "Until you stop seeking the world, you will never see yourself." These words ignited a new hunger. Musashi began training not for violence, but for stillness. He practiced with 2 swords, not because it was efficient, but because it forced his mind to operate in multiple directions. He trained with heavy weapons to strengthen his body, and light weapons to accelerate his reflexes. He studied footwork, timing, and rhythm, not as technique, but as psychology. He learned that hesitation is death, fear is death, and thinking too much is death. He embraced mushin, no mind. Not the absence of thought, but the absence of interference. To duel with mushin meant acting before fear, before strategy, before doubt. It meant becoming an extension of the moment, not a planner of it. In one duel, Musashi arrived late, deliberately. His opponent was furious, screaming that Musashi had no honor. Musashi said nothing. He stepped forward, struck once, and ended the fight. Afterward, he explained, "When a man is angry, he cannot see." Years later, Musashi would say, "I defeated him before I drew my sword." His opponents fought with emotion. Musashi fought with emptiness. War erupted in Japan, and Musashi joined battles not as a soldier, but as a witness. He wanted to understand conflict, not win it. He watched armies move like storms of steel, their leaders confident, their strategies elaborate, and watched them break under confusion. War was not about strength, it was about clarity under chaos. Musashi realized something devastating. Most warriors die because they cannot control their own minds. After the war, he disappeared into the mountains, not to hide, but to transform. For 3 years, he lived in isolation, meditating, training, and writing. He bathed in freezing rivers, fasted for days, and practiced until his muscles trembled uncontrollably. He tested fear by walking narrow ledges. He tested patience by carving wood for hours. He tested focus by sitting still through storms. Students later asked him, "What did you find in solitude?" Musashi answered, "The self cannot be forced. It must be found." He wrote that the warrior must become a craftsman, not violent, but disciplined. A sword is made by fire. A mind is made by suffering. When he returned, he was not merely stronger, he was different. His presence quieted rooms. His posture was effortless. His eyes did not judge or challenge, they observed. People whispered, and even becoming a monster shaped by tragedy, he chose the harder path, to become nothing. He trained his mind to silence itself. He stopped reacting to insults, stopped seeking respect, stopped chasing victory. Because the moment a warrior becomes attached to praise, he becomes a prisoner of it. Musashi discovered that the greatest enemy was not the world outside, but the voice inside that refused to let go. And every breath, every step, every duel killed a little bit of the man he once was. At dawn, he entered a village where warriors worshipped pride and loudness. One fighter challenged him with arrogance, expecting a dramatic battle. But Musashi didn't tense, didn't fear, didn't respect the moment. He simply stepped aside, and the man fell face first into the dirt. The crowd gasped. They expected violence. They witnessed emptiness. Musashi fought without emotion, without ego, without desire to win. And that made him terrifying. He traveled on, accepting challenges only when forced. Men attacked with fury. He moved with stillness. They swung swords with fear. He simply existed. Every duel ended in seconds, not because he was faster, but because the noise inside others made their hands weak. Whispers spread like a ghost story. There is a man who wins without trying. Warriors came from distant provinces to face him. All failed, not from lack of talent, but because Musashi had mastered the discipline of nothingness. But even legends have doubts. One day, a young monk asked him, "Are you peaceful or simply numb?" The question wounded him deeper than any sword. He had conquered fear, but not sorrow. He realized that a silent mind still remembers pain. And mastery is not escape, but acceptance. Later, a samurai approached him without arrogance. "I do not wish to defeat you," he said. "I wish to understand you." They fought for hours, not violently, but patiently. Both saw the same opening at the same moment. Both stopped. Not because they feared death, but because killing was pointless. The samurai said, "You have defeated everyone around you, but have you defeated the grief inside you?" Musashi could not answer. Months passed. He carved toys for children, watched them play, and realized how simple life could be. Yet inside him, storms still raged. He whispered to himself, "You can conquer nations, but still be imprisoned within." Victory had never been his problem. Purpose had. At 29, Musashi faced the only enemy left. The man he once was. The angry boy. The violent youth. The arrogant prodigy. The cold master. He destroyed them one by one, not with his sword, but with truth. He no longer fought because he hated. He fought because he understood. And in that moment, he became something greater than undefeated. He became whole. Near the end of his life, he wrote the principle that defined everything he learned. The warrior who conquers others is fearsome. The warrior who conquers himself is unbreakable. His power did not come from technique, not from aggression, not from talent, but from the mind's refusal to be enslaved by fear, pride, or identity. Identity invites weakness, and Musashi had none. He lost everything in a single night, his clan, his name, his purpose. But from ruin rose a man who mastered not war, but himself. And that is why Musashi never lost, not because he defeated opponents, but because no opponent could defeat a mind with no weakness inside.